pitching a show. She's the first female ombudsman.
She's an ombudswoman. She's an ombuds them.
It's an ombudsy comedy.
Ombudsy. I love it. All right, so you know what? That was, by the way, Goldie, that is a great idea for a show. And you know what our topic
female
is?
Ombudsman?
But on our topic of today's show,
Yes.
our theme is where ideas. Where do we get them? What do you do with them? Do you even want them? Have I ever had one? We'll get into that.
I mean, that to me was the most interesting.
Have I ever had one?
Well, going through as we pieced through your personal history, the fact that
because we were talking about this
you've
yesterday.
sort of been able to skate by without ever once having an idea.
Which, I mean, believe me, thank God. Because we were going over the things that I've written. I guess, we all write stuff to the Family Guy together, but one writer gets credit. So I have written the Star Wars episode. Not my idea. Wasn't even my idea
You didn't
to
think
do
of Star
that.
Wars?
No, I wasn't there with George pitching on it. So
I thought you
wasn't
did.
basically we just took the movie, wrote funny lines over it, and even to write that episode was not my idea. That was Seth's idea. So I'm three times removed from any kind of original idea
Was
there.
someone holding your hands and pressing them on the keyboard?
Most of the time. So some of the other Family Guy episodes I've written, Three Kings, which is 3 Stephen King stories, parodied act by act. Not my idea. Very easy to figure out, like to parody something like that when the story's already in place. A little episode called Petergeist, which may sound familiar because it's poltergeist. A little episode called Spies Reminiscent of Us.
My God.
Which is also based on
This is
another
like
little
someone's
movie.
being indicted.
Your Honor, we present these 17 names of episodes. And then, of
Like
course,
your lawyer is just looking down into their briefcase. You didn't tell me about Petergeist.
you know, I know, and I'm whispering to him. But you know what happens when I get to come up with an idea? Dads.
Well,
So maybe it's...
and really just dad, because it was only
there was
half
another
your idea.
Right, exactly.
You go, I have an idea, my dad, and then your partner
Someone
said,
else
I
says-
also have an idea.
My dad, too. So when left to our own devices, it does not go well. And then, of course, there's Ted. That was Seth's idea. He said, do you want to help write it? Sure. I don't have to think of an idea? Good. So basically, I'm very derivative in my success. Derivative of a lot of things that I love and have studied and watched, and enjoyed and felt like, okay, maybe I'm good at turning an existing property into another existing property.
Weird Al.
Well, at the time, they
Like
started
Weird Al.
doing Star Wars.
Start calling me Weird Al.
That is true. That is a good niche to be in. I certainly think Weird Al is original. Like, I remember watching Eat It.
Yep.
It was that innovation where it was like someone could take a music video and do the same beats and be funny. And like the Eat It video really holds up. If
It's
you've
great.
never seen that, you should go on. Like when they go into the garage door and it's too loud. I mean, there's a lot of comedy in there, and I do think that when Star Wars came out, the fact that an animated show took that shot on Star Wars, like no one had seen that at that point.
Yeah, and again, that was
Like that was innovative,
But yes, and I didn't have that idea.
and you executed it very well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, there
Matters.
and also that's where the 20 other writers help a lot too. But as you know, writing a manuscript. But people often ask writers, like, where do you get your ideas? Okay, in my case, I get them from other ideas. But that is kind of a common thing, where when you're out there pitching something or coming up with a show, oftentimes you'll find that executives want that. They want something they're familiar with wrapped in a new package. So it's like Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a plane. I guess they did that on Die Hard too. But there are just times where you go out and all they want is sort of reheated something else that was successful.
Yeah.
So it's tricky coming up with ideas, because if you're Christopher Nolan, you come up with great, awesome, clever ideas with twists and turns and time travel and science and everything, and it's fantastic. But there aren't too many of those guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. The first is, say we're just trying to give people action.
Yes, which I've done not at all yet.
But you've nicely laid out sort of a monopoly.
Ooh, monopoly. On all the railroads.
So, I mean, but something that when people come to you and they say, how do you get your ideas, or find ideas? My first question: why are you writing if you have no ideas? Like, it just seems like you don't need to do this. Like, it's not a required event for anyone. Going back to our Olympic theme. So like, if you just go, I want to write, but I don't know what to write about. Well, you don't really want to write because you don't have an idea.
Well, but then just to make a counterpoint to that, and it's less and less these days, but in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, there were people who were joke men,
Sure, but then write jokes.
Write jokes, but then I feel like once you get in, you can be a joke person in the sitcom world, but then inevitably you're going to get asked for ideas anyway. Like if you stick around,
go,
I ain't got none.
I don't have any. I mean, because when you say, like, where do you get an idea? That's so close to asking someone, how does anyone do anything?
Right.
You just sit there and then something snaps in your brain and you have an idea.
Yes.
Well, I don't know why. Any more than I remember being blown away in a college class when the professor said, that voice in your head, where does it come from? The one that tells you stuff. Who is that talking? Is that you?
Yes.
Or is that something deeper that you're channeling? And it's like, wow. Yeah, I don't know.
Wait a minute. Now, you don't think it's something deeper that you're channeling, do you? It's your inner voice. It's your brain. It's gotta be.
I guess, but why is your brain doing that? Why is your brain telling you stuff?
Sabotaging.
Why is your brain
daily?
making horrible puns?
Yeah.
I know. Witzel syndrome.
But I
Look
mean,
it up.
to me, it's a step away from insanity to ask where you get your ideas, because it's why.
Yeah, it's like why do you have thoughts?
Yeah, what is the thyroid do?
Well, that I don't know.
How
Me
about
either.
when do
So the thing is like I think most people don't actually listen to their brain when they think they don't have ideas. Like I think everyone is thinking stuff, and they maybe don't categorize it as usable when it could easily be usable. It's like how I play guitar, hours a day, and I still can't really recognize a G note from an E, from a C, and I constantly have to reorient myself every time I sit down to play the instrument.
Right.
There's something that's not quite clicking. Like I'm guessing someone like Stu, the information lives in a way when they think the computer is asleep. It's existing, whereas I don't know, I'm not accessing it. And so I always find when I don't think I have ideas, it's more just a matter of like calming everything down and clearing out information and listening and observing my thoughts a little bit and saying like, well, that's not quite true, I don't have ideas. I have things that I instantly categorize as unusable and I'm shooting them down.
Right.
Aborting them, if you will, in utero, en masse. I'm committing mass genocide.
No.
Yeah.
No.
To make a beautiful analogy. And I think the first advice I would give to someone is maybe give yourself a time, like an hour or two a day for a week, where you just kind of like listen to your thoughts and see what's going on. What's going on with you?
That's good. What's going on with you? What's going on in there? I'm surprised your dog isn't scratching at the door after that tone of voice. That's right. We've established that.
Me off yet again.
No, but that's funny. But your advice is great, and particularly this, if I had been someone who wanted to get into writing and I heard you say that, I would love that, because that just involves you just sitting there. I'm sure I wouldn't be able to even do it for 2 hours. I think it's actually very hard to listen to your own thoughts for 2 hours.
Struggle's part of it.
The struggle. Yeah, to get out there with a busted ankle and just nail that ball. But no, I know what you mean.
No reason for a bunch of people who are ready to hate you the second you didn't do exactly what they wanted. In spite of all your past achievements, they give you nothing in the bank, and then the second you violate their expectations of you in that moment, fuck you! Okay, great system. Well, now I want to do it for those people.
I don't like the system, but I like the glory. Like you telling me that you don't remember Michael Johnson shedding a single tear after kicking so much ass in the Olympics. Yeah, see? Well, then what are you doing? You love the Olympics. You love the Olympic spirit. Just admit it.
Norm Macdonald had the best ever joke about
What did he say?
Michael Johnson, he had gold shoes. He was running around the track with gold shoes. But imagine if he hadn't won. And then people were like, hey, Michael, nice gold shoes. And he'd be like, oh, these are yellow.
That's an oddly constructed joke for Norm. I love that.
It's such a good joke.
He's so funny.
It's because it's just a series of jabs from directions you're not expecting.
He is so funny.
But that points to observation.
Yes.
It's like a meticulously observed thing of this nuance, literally a nuance, a shade of color, being the core of this idea of that, like, people would shame you for your shoes, and then how you would get out of it in the event of that shaming with this kind of bizarre step.
Yeah, well, I bet he certainly seems like someone who listens to his own thoughts. He looks like it sounds like he has conversations with himself.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like what his stand-up is.
It looks as though he's been driven insane by himself.
I know, but a lot of the great ones get that way. He's one of the funniest of all time, and maybe the best talk show guest of all time. Like, he's up there. He's on the Rushmore of all time talk show.
I mean, in that last Letterman where he just cried.
We talked about this on here.
Yeah.
We talked about that on here. That was great.
But, I'm gonna bring us back a little bit.
Okay.
Because what you'll find mostly is if you say you don't have an idea, you should just look at whatever your situation is, because the most compelling thing you can say in a pitch meeting when you're selling something that I've found that will sell the thing in most cases is if you say, this happened to me.
Yes.
Or this is me. Like my last show, United We Fall, was my wife is half Mexican and has 8 older brothers who are all in various degrees of not getting along.
Right.
And that the second, like, proprietary thing was that we very much are in violent agreement most of the time, but we still can't get anything done. And so then I went into the pitch meeting and talked about, like, we're two smart people, Ivy League educated, we've both been employed, we live in a house, we've seemingly taken care of everything you're supposed to as an American, and then we have these 2 kids and we can't get them out the door in the morning. For some reason, we cannot get 2 children to school on time. It's impossible. I don't know what happened. And then it was digging into the minutia of that and sort of peeling it away. But it's not. And look, the thing got canceled, so you go, that wasn't an idea. You were wrong.
Yeah, but it really shouldn't have been canceled. We got into that in another episode. It was canceled due to factors that had nothing to do with the show itself.
I'll also say that the idea was so compelling for network to bid on it and one ended up paying $1 million, not to me, for the privilege of being the one donor.
Wow.
So it was the simplicity of the idea, though, which, because going, you're pitching to people in general who have kids, no one feels like they can get their kids out the door. Like, no one is so like, relatable. I've got this on lockdown. Everything. And so they're all going, I'm a quarter way through the pitch, and now instead of pitching, they're talking to me going, oh my God, me and my husband, and it's like, I'm just sitting back going, I'm about to make
sold.
Writing it.
Yeah. They're eating it up.
I'm like that boat I was looking at 2 years ago that I thought I would never own. I'm gonna own it. And then they're like, "We'll do it." I'm like, "What?" Sorry, I was thinking about a boat.
The boat you're gonna buy
And
me.
now I'm so far from the boat.
Oh, maybe a dinghy. A dinghy.
But I'll say, like, look to your circumstances, because what there's some aspect of your circumstances that people can relate to, and sometimes it's just I'm a young person who it's this failure to launch thing. Like, I'm 34 and it isn't coming together for me, and then someone, the person you're pitching will be like, "Oh my God, we didn't meet till we were 39," and then I always felt like it wasn't going to happen. I had roommates till I was 37.
That. Let's call it late bloomers. We can pitch that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, but I'm saying you do have an idea. You just think it's not an idea because it's your reality and it's weighing.
Yes, totally true. And that, I mean, certainly the thesis statement of that last portion was just like that thing you just said. This happened to me.
Yes.
Or this is me. Like,
And lie. If it didn't happen to you, say it happened to you. There is no ombudsman who's going to come in and burst into the meeting and say that person is a liar. It did not happen that way. And so I.
Oh, great and wise ombudsman.
Like when I did Making History, it's time travel show, so I can't go. I've traveled in time, whatever. And I use certain elements, like I'm from Lexington, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Place in Lexington, Massachusetts. But I found certain ways of saying things. I stretched the truth a little bit, but I think that I started that pitch by saying I've spent the majority of my life staring out a window, waiting for someone to tell me I could leave. Like whether it was school or work.
Right. Or home.
I just have never enjoyed 1 second of anything I'm doing. And I'm at the whim of someone else's rules. But what if you were the one to make the rules, right?
There you go.
So that's not, that's not such a stretch, but you've just got to find the real reality of your situation, which is like, even if you didn't feel that way, you could say you felt that way, right? And everyone feels that way. So it's like, in a way, even though that was a spectacular, I don't mean to call it a spectacular, proud idea. The truth of it, the thing that sold it wasn't time travel. No one cared about that. The thing that sold it was sitting there thinking your life could be different or better, and it wasn't.
Right.
It's the
everyone can relate to that.
Right.
Everyone can relate.
Yeah.
By the way, while you were talking, I thought of another idea I didn't come up with,
Let's sell it.
which was Brian and Stewie as Watson and Holmes, our Sherlock Holmes episode. And now, to my immense credit, I thought of that, like we should do that. And then I didn't write it. David Goodman wrote it. Moving on. He wrote it. He did a great job. But again, that's another example of me.
Well, I think
not
that
having an
bridges
idea.
the gap nicely to what I think should be the next part of this discussion. Would be half of it is you going to them with an idea, but another way to go is they come to you with an idea, intellectual property, or sometimes. I know at ABC for a long time they're like, we want to do a version of Swiss Family Robinson. We don't know how to do it. Like, that side has ideas that they're trying to work on that you can just take.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where, to the extent that I excel in anything, I excel in that scenario much more than the other, because they come to me and then I instantly say, 2 or 3 little witty things in the room that fool them into thinking, like, he's going to nail this, right?
Right.
They're on their way out of the meeting like, he made a couple funny puns. Did we just hand him the keys to this whole thing? But that's another way of, I totally agree with you that, like, being handed an idea, if you can see it, you're like, oh, I see what this is supposed to be. Like, and I think it'd be funny if you changed this, or had it set here, or maybe did it like this, or then you're sort of already cooking it. For someone like me who's not self-motivated, it's a much better way to do things.
By the time a writer has heard about it, it means they have gotten desperate. Because, if they developed it right away and they had the person, then it's like you would never hear about it. You would just read about
Never.
it. But if they're saying, like, yeah, we're thinking about this, and you have anything that they can latch onto and everyone's reporting to someone else. And they can go
Yes.
upstairs and go, oh, they had a great take on it. That it all takes place in the Middle Ages, though.
Right.
That now you're in because you've solved a problem for someone else. Because you're talking to a person whose boss is like, where are we on this thing?
Exactly. Yeah, there are meetings going on that you have nothing to do with, and so something can fall in your lap that way. And what you're saying, if I'm reading you correctly, is that like, even if you come in with the thinnest of takes, they'll be like, great, please take this issue off of our plates. Like, please take this item off of our weekly meeting agenda, at least for a few months.
Yes.
And then maybe we'll all be fired or working at Netflix.
And now it's your problem and not
right.
theirs.
Exactly.
And that is a way that you can, forge ahead in a career.
Yeah.
Of taking on terrible things that should never be done, which is why they were unable to solve it, and now it's your problem. And then when you fight them to a draw on it, they'll say like, they really showed a lot of spirit doing that, and then they'll maybe let you come in and pitch your own thing, which now you've bought yourself a year to think of something.
Yes.
You idealist fuck.
No, but you idealist fuck. I think you should either call me Weird Al or an idealist fuck.
I love Weird Al.
Me too.
Yeah,
so you're like, I'll call you an idealist
Normalize Weird
fuck.
Al. Normalize him. He's just Al. I don't think it's that weird that he's being funny.
He thinks it's weird. It's part of this whole thing.
I don't know. Was he trying to own it before they called him weird? Like, okay, is this the Eminem flipping the script? Like, I know you guys think I'm fucking bizarre. So I'm Weird Al. Now what are you going to throw at me?
He said when he was younger that he was
I'm so glad we have
How
a
you end
music
up playing
person.
the
We have a
accordion.
music person here. JC is immersed in the world of music. So I love that you have Weird Al factoid.
Yeah, well, he was on a podcast. I can't remember which one. He was on, and he asked where the Weird Al the name comes from.
Very catchy.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And Goldie, would you like to tell our viewers to go and listen to Conan's podcast?
The thing was, after I bashed him that first episode, it was really good.
I love your begrudging admissions or some of my favorite
the Bill
things.
Burr episode that I listened to was great.
Well, Bill Burr is awesome. I've actually heard bits of that. It's on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
What about Goldie? Somebody like, and I brought him up before, Christopher Nolan. Okay, so Christopher Nolan, I think I think he's the best, by far the best director of this generation now. And the stories that he comes up with, time and time again. Okay, take the Batman stuff out of it, which I think
I
they're
like
also
his
they're great. They're great, but they're not really his stories so much. Maybe they are. Maybe he wrote them. I don't know. But like Interstellar for me is one of the great movies of this century. Like I've seen it so many times. I love it. It's so creative. And something like I know you love The Prestige and Inception. These movies are all so fantastic, so creative, and they seem to come from his mind. And I cannot even pretend to attempt to do what he does. Do you ever think of hey, one day I want to make a movie and I want it to be really cool. I want it to have lots of plot twists and turns and then pay off in a way in the end that nobody saw coming and it's super cool. Do you ever think of taking on a bigger project like that? You are the worst improv class participant. I knew.
No,
it was so funny. You just
I will
wanted to
say that.
no for the
Okay,
joke.
so I do think that. Yeah, of course. The longer the question got, the more solidified in my mind I became that I was
could
just
feel
gonna
it
say no
coming
to it.
too. I could feel it coming.
There was no way I was gonna let you have any agreement or rest after that. Because there's nothing funnier than someone who's given a long windup then has to immediately speak again.
I know. You can see my neck veins were coming out as I was running out of breath on the
Just
question.
sucking air.
I just need a minute to suck. And the sulkin defense has to come right back out on the field.
It is that.
No
It's
rest.
a fumbled kickoff.
Yes.
We got to go right back out there after getting lit up. Look, I think one viable strategy in a pitch meeting is to confuse people enough that they think you're a genius.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know,
That's
and
true.
the
And we know
quirkier
people who
you
have done
act,
that.
the better. It's persona, and you know he actually delivers. But it's
Yeah.
funny because I don't know that I'm good at that type of thing. Like there was a brief time I was helping out on Oracle when I was still at Fox,
Right.
and I really
And that's Seth MacFarlane's sci-fi show.
yeah, and I really got excited. I said, oh, I'm gonna pitch Seth some sci-fi stuff, and then I had what I thought was a great idea, which was that they go to this planet where they've discovered a fountain of youth. Like everyone is basically immortal, but they also have a form of Alzheimer's, so they just live
that's cool.
endlessly. But
Very Twilight Zone.
constantly forget. And it's like no one cared. And then I got angry and was like, fine, I'll just pitch fucking Joe. You happy? Everyone happy? But so I do. I mean, I did originally want to be a novelist. But
A real estate novelist?
I just haven't. I just, like we are obviously locked into a certain lifestyle of churning out a particular type of content for money.
Yes.
That it's like you go, look, I'm making all kinds of money at blackjack, and people are like, why don't you try craps?
Oh, you're right.
I could, but like.
But if you had a
This
dream,
table's
if you had a dream about playing poker or
Oh
craps,
yeah, I don't really have a dream much beyond.
yeah,
And I feel good about that. I'm not saying that it's
Yeah.
depressing me, but it's been one of my key realizations the last year and a half of COVID and everything that like
yeah,
I just want to get back to where I was. Like I enjoy it in a sense,
Yeah.
even though I take it
Right.
as miserable persona.
Right.
But I do like. I was off on script this week. I wrote a script, and I like, having written the script. I didn't really at all.
right.
Afterwards, when
You
you
like when it was over. And by the way, it's very funny. It's very funny. It's filled with goldy hilarity. I love having you back on the show.
But it's so I don't know. But I mean, the people who do that, I feel like are in a different arena than I
But
am.
don't
I mean,
you
if you're
think-
someone with
Go
those
ahead, Jason.
stories,
Don't you think making history is sort of a version of that? I mean, time travel is extremely difficult to pull off.
Yeah, you got a lot to think about with time travel.
Well, I mean, I things lined up with making history in a way that made it particularly lucky with these big movie producers, Lord Miller, like it got involved, and I happen to have access to them by walking around a lot.
They're huge. For those of you who don't know, they did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego movies, the Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, which was fantastic. So they're just on a huge
Yeah.
roll.
So the problem is, though, that if you're nobody like me, like you're not a big fish,
Somebody.
that you go in and you pitch these things, and they're very expensive to do, and unless you're coming in with a huge fish, which huge fish often have their own ideas, they're not really looking good. Because I tried to do as a follow-up, I had this idea, and I went around and pitched it. It was basically, it was sort of like a funny Game of Thrones thing where you're in this kingdom, and basically, there's some palace intrigue, and this guy ends up becoming king who's totally unfit, and so he decides with his best friend, like, I don't want to be king, I gotta get the fuck out of here, and they run to the edge of where they live, and they're digging their own graves so they can just like bury themselves and die because they just don't want to be killed and tortured. And then one of them discovers an iPhone, and then basically what you realize is this isn't the past, it's the future, and that things have gotten so bad we're reliving the Middle Ages, we have no knowledge.
Right.
But now this guy is able to tap into all the knowledge of the internet, and he's going to use this to fool everyone. So I thought this was like a solid concept, but I went around and pitched it, and like I think it's as good as things that are being made, but no one wanted to do it with me. Like,
Were there a lot of questions about the charger?
Yeah, and I had solved those. Like there was basically
'Cause that's
like
my question.
like an archeological remnant of a solar grid that was running.
Oh, he has an
Right.
answer.
And
like
so
it.
that it was like plugged into a solar grid, and he realizes early on, oh, this thing gets something from this thing where I plug it in.
That's a
he has
good
to
message
keep
about solar energy too.
back there.
Totally.
So and it was something where you know, and the episodes were like he basically falls in love with this chef who works in the palace, and that everyone else hates her, and he sets her up. You know, he's like, well, what if there's a way that the village could taste your food as well? You know, and I think people would understand what a great chef you are, and he ends up inventing the restaurant. But then all of a sudden it's like all the problems of running a restaurant, like he can't get the food to the tables fast enough. And I thought it was pretty funny, but it was impossible to do.
Was that after Making History?
Yeah. It was
okay, so sometimes, like, I mean, I've definitely noticed it, and the things that we went out with and pitched, like, they didn't care. You know, the stuff that we were doing.
They don't want high concept from someone who hasn't had success in it. Because you go, I want to film in a palace, already the cost is astronomical.
Right.
I want to shoot outdoors. First of all, I don't understand how anyone does anything. Like when you watch an old Columbo and you go, all they did was shoot out.
Yeah.
All they did is shoot outside, and you go with the budget of this, $1 billion, because it's like the second you step outside to shoot anything, it's so expensive and cost prohibitive, and I don't understand. I just don't understand.
They saved a lot on the costume with Columbo, so they could go outside. Well, that was I like hearing about that idea, and I mean I think overall your comment earlier about just stick with yourself, mine your own thoughts, because that's so true. I know. You know, I think we're all, I'm egotistical, and so when I walk around and I have my thoughts, I'm like, oh, this would be great in like a novel. This would be great, you know, this thing that just happened between me and my wife, like, and I'm laying it out all in my head, like everything I would say, and then it goes away. It's replaced by the next wave of thought, anger.
Do you write these down?
I don't. I never do. I never do. And, you know, Paul's always like, I think you have a great novel in you, but honestly, Goldie, you already had a great novel in you. A hilarious novel, and it just got shit on, and nobody cared, and it's made you angry.
Yeah.
And so watching that, it's like, listen, do I think maybe I could write a novel? Maybe I could if I worked a little bit. Do I think it would be the fucking Great Gatsby, which is the goal? No, it would be the okay Gatsby, as you'd like to say.
Well, the Great Gatsby, is it that good?
It's really good. Come on.
One of my favorite things.
You know what's great about it? 110 pages.
I mean, it is very readable, and one of my favorite things about it is I bought a used copy, however many years ago, and I basically got the college copy of a moron. So there's all these things that are not significant, underlined, exclamation marks, and this, you know, next to things it says like symbolize God, and it gives this other layer to this book that I would say if you can ever get the books of a really dumb English major.
That, like, the classic novels of all time as read by a dumb English.
This is what we should do.
This
is perfect for you. This is a perfect idea for you as we pitch to a book company. Let us write funny comments on the books as a funny Cliff Notes thing, so they're actually reading the books and getting comedy!
I love that idea.
I'm making the touchdown gesture.
I love it. I love that idea. But here's what I already envision. Is you and I writing an email to the widow Dostoevsky. You know, like we'd have to be writing everybody's relatives.
We're such fans of Fyodor.
And you know, you mean Fyodor Ilyich Dostoevsky. But, you know, we'd be writing like, you know, Brooks Faulkner. Like, is it okay if we write about this shit? But I do like that idea. And I like that we end this theme of ideas with an idea.
Yes, and
nice.
why? Because our frequency is like tuning a radio. We tuned in to wanting to do something, and we quickly found something that is probably better than anything either of us has ever been involved with.
Did we tune into Kiss 108 FM?
Maddie in the morning.
Yeah. Maddie in the morning. Sully Joe White. I love Sully Joe White on Kiss 108 FM. All right, that was a fun theme.
Yeah.
I have no ideas. Goldie has lots of them, and they're good. Yes, and I'm sure Jason has
you're in a
ideas of
guest
her own.
house,
But you know what?
And I'm in a house.
This show isn't a place for women's ideas. This is two men talking about ideas.
Nope, don't
Jason,
agree.
step backing into our territory. But you have
So-
enough now.
I'm distanced from even the irony of this.
You women can yammer and make a racket about this and that.
Oh boy. Goldie was not speaking.
I'm playing a character that is basically me, but I'm putting a voice on it. Okay. Now let's get to our. This was. I enjoyed the thought
Me
of
too.
this top 5 list. Okay, so this is a controversial top 5 list this week. And JC, did you get a chance to look at the movie?
I watched it twice.
Okay, here we go.
No.
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Here's-
let's say what it is.
Here's the category. Top 5 movie comedies that You, Me, and Dupree is better than. It's a mouthful. So
Did you
that's-
like You, Me, and
Did you like it?
Dupree? Did you enjoy the movie?
I laughed at some parts, but I had a lot of problems with it.
What are the
Well, we
problems?
can get into those. I like that. I like it when, but so basically, Goldie and I have always had this among our bonds. Among the things that we have in common is that we both really think You, Me, and Dupree is an underratedly hilarious comedy. It was kind of overlooked. You may remember it. It was 2006. Owen Wilson, Jennifer Hudson. No. Owen Wilson,
No.
Kate Hudson.
Wow.
Owen Wilson, Kate Hudson, Matt Dillon, and Michael Douglas. But it was just sort of a cute
Just start
comedy.
saying names. Katie Couric.
Katie Couric, Matt Damon, and Michael Fredericks. So You, Me, and Dupree. We think it was very funny, and
Amy
we.
Tan.
I think Seth Rogen was in it. So these are top 5 movie comedies that You, Me, and Dupree is better than.
Yes.
So this is going to be quite controversial. But
I want to hear what JC's.
yeah, JC,
problems
let's
were
give us some
with
thoughts
You,
on the movie. Give us some
But-
thoughts.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I watched it, I would say, 2.5, almost 3 times because I really wanted to give it a proper chance.
Were
Okay.
you high?
I was not high. Is that the problem?
No, you know what? I'm not going to say that you're not really putting the effort in. But, all right, however you want to do it.
And then the other thing is I did not write notes as to what my problems were, so I'm sort of just whatever.
That's okay. That's okay. That would be far too organized.
Okay, so the big thing for me was the way Kate Hudson is portrayed and wives are portrayed as
Yes.
just like boring, controlling, taking away the freedom of somebody having like the football game scene where she walks in and she's like, how could you possibly be having a good time while
So-
I'm out?
So here's, I think,
But see, we're laughing.
but I think you're right and you're wrong. I think you're totally right in that there was such a long era of the wife is just like the come on, and that, by the way, that's the way Mila Kunis is in Ted, the first Ted. She's very much like shruggy and why are you hanging out with this bear and
Yeah.
stop it and leave him behind. And yes, it's not fair. It doesn't flesh out the female characters nearly enough. That said, anyone in a marriage will tell you if you're in that scenario with guys who are like smoking and drinking in the house and your wife comes home and she didn't know about it, you're going to get that look. So I had no problem with that look.
Look, I also think the intended audience of this is guys like us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just as
Guys
the
like
intended audience for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants
Right.
is, is portraying men a certain way. Is they're all cads, they're all
Right.
cheaters,
Which
they're
I
all
also disagree with.
right. But
Right.
so I part of it is I just think like yes,
Well,
we're
let's-
not the intended audience, so
Right. I mean,
Let's
and-
let her have her complaints.
Right.
yes.
No need to apologize. And also Seth Rogen's wife. So like those things. So
He's good in that. By the way, that was the first time I Googled him after. I was like, who's that guy? He's
he's
super
so
funny.
funny.
Yeah, very funny.
And then and maybe it's because I'm Asian, but the portrayal of which it was funny, yes, and I give it that. But like the playing softball and the kids just like the women that would be
Right.
like okay, there's that, and then the like, why does your porn have to? Why are they all? Why is your porn all Asian? It's just like that for me is a trigger point, you know. And so maybe I'm just being too like serious about it. But when I see those in any types of
Totally
movies,
legit.
yeah. So
Totally legit. First of all, don't look through my search history ever. But also, and a follow-up classy question: were you in the orchestra?
no.
Okay.
Do I
There you
seem
go.
like I was?
No, well, you're in music, like so.
Right.
You know, you're in
Oh,
the
okay.
music world, so I
Good
thought
point.
maybe.
Good point. No.
Yeah.
I was sports. I just played
Sports.
sports.
That's right. You used to go to McDonald's on your way home from baseball practice. I
Well,
remember that.
that was for me.
Delicious, all right. Durr.
So
All right.
should I go into my top 5? Or
Let's do
should-
it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Because I think our probably Goldie and mine will be more controversial in terms of like we're
I
gonna
think
have.
mine will be very controversial.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I mean,
JC.
this was like very difficult. So to find
To
stuff
find
that I
5 things.
Oh, it was worse. Okay, go ahead. This will make it interesting on the other end.
So number 5 was Get Into the Dream.
Oh,
Yeah, I agree.
excellent choice.
Clearly.
Excellent choice. I totally agree with that.
Okay, number 4 is The Internship.
Vince Vaughn.
Thank you.
right.
I
Oh,
cried
that's
at the
right.
end of that.
Yeah, that's
did
where they go to
too.
fake Google, right?
Wait, yeah, is Robert De Niro?
No, that's a different.
movie.
He became an intern.
That's the
magazine
intern.
intern.
That's the intern.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is This Is the End.
Right.
Yes, I
that was
did
a
not
big
enjoy
headache.
that at all.
Right.
Headache
So
of a movie.
I was trying to find movies in the similar
Zeitgeist.
Yes. Number 2, Date Night.
Yes. Yep, that was a big miss. Big miss. I just remember that even the poster for that bothered me. It was them like with their hair thin of like smoke of soot on their faces. It was like date night, like oh boy, what are we in for?
And then number 1 was Bridget Jones's Diary.
Okay, great.
Sorry,
These are all good choices. And I agree with every one of them. And I agree we're starting at in different points. So Goalie, let me go because I feel like you want to close the show. Okay. So I'll get through. All right. This will be. I have a feeling, JC, you're not going to like me for this one. But I have an axe to grind with this movie. Number 5, the movie comedies that you need to Dupree is better than Harold and Maude. Oh, okay.
That's
Harold-
fair. I mean, it's because that Harold and Maude is just a taste anyway. So.
Well, but I don't like because people often come hard out of the gates with best comedy ever. You know what the best comedy ever is? Best comedy. Maybe the best film ever. It's a perfect film. It is. I hate when people talk like that. It has great Cat Stevens music. I love the vibe of it. But the movie and the comedy, I could take or leave. Didn't care. It just seemed a little weird. A little weird. All right, number 4. Here's where we start taking out some time. Trading Places. Never thought Trading Places.
I think Trading Places is funny.
Yeah, never
I
did.
don't know why.
Never really liked it. Never gave a shit. And I'm fine. There's sort of a little theme in my list here, unfortunately, that involves one actor in particular, and he's in that front and center. So, Trading Places, sorry, Yumi and Dupree made me laugh. Seeing Dupree's bare naked ass on the couch when he was sleeping there night 1 was worth the price of
Do
admission
you
for me.
relate to Dupree?
Well, I have a friend who is a Dupree. I relate much more to the Matt Dillon character, I would say, because I've been lucky in life to just have, I've never been couch surfing and like in that sort of desperate need. But anyway, number 3 for me. Here we go again. Number 3, The Blues Brothers.
Whoa.
Oh, that
Are
was
we overlapping?
I mean, literally on the same number.
Oh, I love it.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
Blues
okay.
Brothers is nary a smile. I'll watch
I
it.
agree. It's a smileless comedy.
Just
It's
watching these guys try to like play. I think
it was a
stinks.
it was a
Can we
jerk
say
off.
it?
It was
Can
a
I
jerk
say
off
it?
project. What's that?
Belushi stinks. He
I-
stinks. It's funny
I-
in Animal House. That's it.
See, you know what? I'm not gonna totally disagree
Cheeseburger.
with
Come on, man.
Animal House was originally on my list.
Okay, you guys are already shitting on my
Sorry.
list. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Number 2. Here it is. Very controversial. Ghostbusters.
I thought you were gonna ream me.
No.
I thought no way we'd be in agreement.
No. Ghostbusters for me, it has an excellent theme music by Elmer Bernstein. Like, fantastic. And Bill Murray is incredibly likable, yes, but it's just not. I want it to be funnier. I don't find the
When we
dorky
were
guy.
13, came out of
11.
and there was very little comedy, and then just the fact that you would see someone who was supposed to be funny was funny.
Yes.
Whereas now, everyone kind of sits arms folded, waiting to be blown away,
Yes.
included. And you go back and watch that, and it's like, you're not laughing. Like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, it's like, cool.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
It's not real
Yeah.
funny.
No, it's not. It really isn't. It's not. So, all right, we agree on that. And number 1, it was mentioned before. I'll just get out of the way. Animal House. Animal House. You know, it spoke to certainly my parents. They were that generation. It was basically, you know, kind of matched up year-wise with their college experiences. They love it. I agree. It has some funny moments. Belushi smashing the guitar is funny. I like that. But there's a lot of creepy stuff in there. Not that there isn't in Dupree, but the creepy stuff in Animal House kind of gets through even more now. It's a little bit like, oh, I understand why you can't do this. But that said, it just doesn't make me laugh as much as Dupree. And by the way, Owen Wilson's hair puts on a clinic in Dupree. I mean, it just has its
Pete
own
Wilson.
lighting.
'Cause
Pete
it's like,
Wilson.
you look at the bell curve of him, and it's like, then it was Bill Bit Taylor.
Yeah,
Wait,
you're off.
do you guys remember that he tried to kill himself?
Was it after Dupree?
I thought it was because it was when he and Kate Hudson had been
Right.
So I could
Okay,
be
well,
wrong
that's a-
about the time.
That's a fun twist.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that for after my list. but okay.
Sorry.
And now Goldie.
Yeah, you've had your fun, and he tried to kill himself. Oh,
All right, now let's hear your list.
okay. All right. This underdepreciated classic.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say like Ghostbusters at 5, which we agreed on. Number 4. Here comes this sacred cow. You, Me, and Dupree is funnier than Young Frankenstein.
Oh my goodness! But you know what? I would put it on before Young Frankenstein. I would.
I'm just saying it's funnier. You want to talk how much are you laughing?
No, but
The
that's
best
and
man
I.
passionate.
I agree with you because people love to worship Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
They
And
love
I
to worship
like
him.
people.
He's talented and he's good, but people love to worship him and put that in your face.
Yes,
Like, you
Young
know.
Frankenstein is a scold. Oh, you don't like Young Frankenstein as much as
Yes.
I do. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
the
guess
whole
not.
subject matter. It's like a guy going, "Ooh, this is yours."
You should correct them every time they say that. Say first of all, it's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. it's just something that is not.
I can agree with that.
Funny to me. So number 3, as I said, those news reports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 2. Here comes a big domino.
Oh boy.
And it's something that I rewatched recently with my kid, and boy, was it not funny second time. Did I love it when it came out? Yes. Pull up there.
Oh yes. Totally
The original?
agree.
Yeah, You, Me, and Dupree is now funnier.
Then Austin. I love it. I love it. And you know what? You're right. That was so of the moment. So of the moment. Even the British Office knew to shit on that like 3 years after it came out.
Yeah. Like, I mean, my kids, we were about 20 minutes in, and my kids were dying. They hated it so much.
No way. I have to rewatch
You had to
it.
take them to urgent
So
care.
funny.
my older kid begged me to turn it off, and I did, and she was right.
She
was
totally
like,
right.
I'm having a terrible time.
Oh, that's so
Almost
sad.
in tears.
That's great. What a review.
Just, I mean, it was like, wow. I mean, my eyes were open. I was like, wow. But I remember, maybe I'm remembering Wayne's World being cool. everything. Half the stuff I think was in Austin Powers was in Wayne's World, like the
Yeah.
Duper and Little Yellow.
Love that. Well, Wayne's World made me
Yeah,
laugh a lot. Yeah.
The number one movie that you, me, and Dupree is better than Stripes.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
agree.
was debating Stripes or not Stripes. I think I just, in my heart, I feel like I'm supposed to defend Bill Murray at all costs. But I mean,
I don't like this. I actively don't think he's.
you love Zissou.
I love Zissou, but it's like almost like apart from him or something. The thing is, Bill Murray's always identified as this like funny like rogue who doesn't care, but he's so much more similar to the people who like bullied and brutalized me in school than he is to me. Like he's not an underdog ever. He's always the fucking like bully.
Well, I guess. I still, yeah, I have. Yeah, it's interesting because I love him in Rushmore. Come on.
Yeah, I mean Rushmore's one where I just like I saw once and I like the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's got a great
It didn't
soundtrack.
strike me as
You gotta watch it again.
great as-
Promise me you'll watch that again. No. Okay, thanks, Bill.
I
Our
will,
improv game.
I think my second kid goes to college in year 20.
That's when I'll get to it.
Come back to me in 8 years.
Put 2 hours aside on that bright sunny
I'll
day.
have time to watch Rushmore again.
Well, that was a fun list. I enjoyed it. That was a fun theme, fun Johnny jokes. It was
Fun
fun hearing that. I don't know why Goldie hates Simone Biles so much. I guess he does.
Nope. Johnny passing.
No, nobody on here hates Simone Biles. Let's get that clear. Anyway, this was a fun episode, guys. Thanks
thank you.
everyone for listening, and thank you two for being awesome. And we'll talk to you next week.
Typical, disgusting, display. Typical, disgusting display.
Ready, go there.
Typical, disgusting display.
Tonight, we got him. Goldie and the Sulk.
Typical, disgusting display. And it starts right now.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display. And I think if you roll that back, you can hear Goldie saying over the theme, "I'm not ready, it doesn't matter," or "I don't care." One of the two.
It was I don't
Perfect. Perfect. I don't care. Yeah, I should have known that from knowing you for these many years. I am Family Guy writer Alex Salkin, joined by Family Guy writer Goldie Julius Sharp, and of course our lovely talented producer JC. Hello. We're back for another episode. We're very excited today. I had a pretty exciting week because my daughter, how the years go by. My daughter, Levy, turned 6. And, yes, I know. Where did the years go? Everybody's always like, can you believe it? I'm like, yeah, it's time. I understand how that works. It's
I
kind
mean,
of like-
my line is I tell parents to be, it goes by so slow.
Yeah. Don't cherish these moments. You'll have so many of them that you'll want to kill yourself. Yeah, so we had, and you know, and many of our listeners might remember that we've moved, our family has moved from Los Angeles to Cape Cod. So we've been here now over a year and a half. And so this is second birthday on Cape Cod. Last year was a little bit, COVID-19 was kind of, there was no real party. This year, now that that's totally gone away, this year we had, it was just Goldie, the most retro Boston area kids birthday party you could possibly imagine.
Can
It
I
was
guess?
Go ahead, guess.
Baskin Robbins cake. Or Carvel.
You know
Awesome.
what? The cake was from a supermarket, so you're kind of on the right
Okay.
track.
Right,
It
like
was
a
a
sheet cake.
day class A cake.
And
yeah.
then maybe
Delicious,
a
though.
Chuck E. Cheese?
Jared Leto's on some other shit. I tell you what.
Dude, did you see the video of Jared Leto where he like climbed up the outside of whatever hotel he was staying at and just like fucking stood there like 3 stories up and was like, I just did that. Yeah. So,
What,
I don't know if I saw
Like-
that one, man.
Wait,
That's cool that you like subscribe to his YouTube channel, or how are you so abreast?
I must be getting I must be deep in the Leto algorithm or something. Like it's just fucking.
I have no
Dude,
doubt.
I feel like me and Kyle have a very similar algo because we tend to
Yeah.
just see the same thing.
Well, I dig Jared Leto. Not.
I just see women falling down cliffs.
What?
Leto fell down a cliff?
No, I just see like it's like if I go in Discoveries, it's all just like overweight women falling down cliffs or like trying to swing into a ravine and like falling.
Oh, you're fail. You're in the fail
Well, why
algorithm.
don't you cry about it?
Your fail army, your classic fat fails.
Yeah.
Dirt and fail.
It just when I'm having a bad day, I just need to see like contusions and like compound fractures, and then I'm like,
man.
life's okay.
Well, why are they all fat, Durs? Because I also get a lot of fails, but I mean they're of all shapes and
They're hotties.
they're all shapes and sizes.
It's like models on the runway breaking ankles with the high
Yeah.
I
heels.
do. I have
Ooh,
seen
those videos are rough.
You just have
like ankle
babe.
breaker
Yeah, where
runways.
they're just like wobble, wobble, wobble.
Yeah.
So Adam has babe fail and Durs is fat fail.
No, I don't have babe fail.
Yeah.
My fails are of all sizes.
Shapes and
Yeah,
sizes.
all shapes and
Creeds.
All
and
shapes, sizes,
colors and-
genders.
sizes. All gingers. Yes, Kyle.
I said gender.
I feel like there's one that's like kid fail. That's probably the saddest one is like kid fail, where it's just like kids getting wrecked.
Yeah.
See, I don't think that that's sad, dude. I don't think that that's sad. I think
Is
those
that
are-
a thing?
We've covered this, right? Adam likes that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
He likes watching kids get hurt.
Well, only if I know that they're not actually injured. I like
never know.
seeing a kid.
Adam, they're injured.
Well, I don't like seeing a kid actually get hurt, but my favorite is when I'd say I don't like kid fails, but I like when kids cry over nothing, over a nothing thing.
Oh,
right.
Hold up.
Yeah.
If they fall back and sit on their butt and you know that didn't hurt them and just sort of shocked them a little bit, and they just start bawling, I find that funny. I'm gonna laugh in my child's face.
Oh, baby first nut sit on my nuts.
We covered
That
that,
makes sense.
last
That's-
week. That's gonna be that's almost the crux of your parenting style.
Absolutely.
That's right.
laugh.
Laughter heals all.
Laugh a lot. Yo.
Now, Kyle, what were you trying to say up there in the corner, in my corner up there?
Oh, I was just wondering if kid fails is a thing. I never seen it.
Oh,
Kid
yeah.
Fails. Is that like a thing online?
It's right next to dad saves, except they just don't get saved.
That's what I've seen. I thought it was dad saves. That's like the kid fail with the happy ending.
What's dad say?
What do you mean, what's dad saves? That was your runner in the goddamn Workaholics movie, asshole.
Never read it.
Never
We
read
can't
it.
talk about it, man. We're on strike. Cannot talk about
He
it.
said never read it.
We need to
never
do a
read it.
Hey, you can talk about projects that didn't happen. We could talk about how Paramount Plus
Can't talk about them.
is the worst fucking streaming service, and they can kiss our ass. The reason we're going on strike is because the Workaholics movie was canceled. I feel like
Yeah.
160,000 SAG and AFTRA members strong are striking because the
Yep.
Workaholics movie was canceled.
That's huge.
Yeah, hey, big shout out.
Yep. You heard the nanny yell about it. You
Yeah.
heard the nanny yell about it. She was.
Fran is behind us. Fran
Yep.
is behind us.
Yeah, Fran's pissed, dude.
I wonder, like, if anyone wants to give a fuck about us talking about this, but isn't it crazy
It's science.
how hard it is to watch shows now?
Yeah, it's so hard.
Okay.
Okay, give me some perspective on
I'm
that.
just saying,
Enlighten
like,
me a little bit
people-
more. I don't watch shit.
But you never did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but like in and out of the business, people just are like, I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. And like, what have we achieved where we're at that point where people are just like, I don't know what I'm watching. I just watched something. I can't even
Yeah.
remember what it was. Like, there's no connection to the stuff.
Exactly.
And by the way, we're making more than ever. It's easier to access than ever. Click of a button, it's on your phone. But, like,
Well, yeah.
nobody gives a fuck.
At one point, we made these things to reflect humanity. That was the whole point of the
Oh,
art. Was
here
to
comes
reflect
Kyle from the top rope,
was
baby.
to reflect humanity.
You really just said the fucking coolest thing possible. Wow, dude. Wow, Kyle.
Art is a mirror
Yeah,
to
that's-
humanity.
The ocean is a mirror.
At one point, that's what it was. That's the whole thing. Was like, let's do this, and now we have mastered it, I guess. So we're thinking that robots can now reflect humanity, which is I don't know, and like there's so much of it that it doesn't fucking matter. It's all
I don't know if it has anything to do with what Kyle just said, but
I agree with Adam.
I think it's mostly that you no longer have cable. You used to flip through things, and there
just
was
you don't have
less.
cable,
there was
dude.
less options. You'd flip through and find something and be like, "Oh, I'll watch this."
Yes.
Well, I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just saying
Adam's
that's
onto something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go.
You're a stupid
But
dumbass.
think about like music, right? You used to have to go buy CDs. And then at one point they were like, hey, here's Spotify, here's Apple Music. You can listen to anything.
Kazaa.
And so we're like, oh, great. I'm going to pay this to listen to anything. And then they go, actually, we're going to take some stuff off if we feel like it. And you go, wait, but then I can't listen to X, Y, or Z. And they're like, yeah, you can.
I already threw out all my CDs because you motherfuckers told me to do it. So.
Did you really?
No.
God,
No.
You
fuck.
did?
I did.
Good.
I'm paying.
Oh, dude, I was nervous.
Blake didn't throw away anything that we told him to throw away. Who are you kidding?
We're getting tricked into thinking we have all this stuff and we don't have anything.
There's plastic bins to the fucking ceiling right behind him.
Hey, don't look behind the curtain.
Did you guys hear the little bit
Like-
of an uproar that I caused? I'm sure you guys didn't, but I did. Because I was on like a podcast.
Is this a complete departure from the talk we're
No,
having?
no.
Oh, okay,
no,
good,
it's
good,
exactly
good, good,
the
good,
talk
good,
that
good,
we're having.
okay.
Chill, Durst.
Who cares? Good, good, because we should stay here.
Like, moving on.
Because I was doing a like a
dick don't
podcast
work.
run
Yeah.
for the movie that I can no longer talk about.
Can't talk about
And
it.
I did Theo Vaughn's podcast, and he was asking me like why there's not enough. It's something about like why there isn't a ton of comedy movies and why there's no comedy movies that are hitting.
Polychar.
And I'm saying, well, I was like, I think the reason is we've been conditioned to watch big Marvel superhero movies.
Yep.
And they made so many of them that you started to go, well, why would I go see a little comedy
Yep.
if next week the new Captain America is going to come out and it's a $200 million movie? Why would I cost something that costs $20 million to make?
This is the way.
Yeah.
And-
Adam, I think you're spot on.
And the internet took that and ran. People were like, how dare you? Marvel didn't ruin shit. You fucking idiot. You're never going to be in a Marvel movie. Kiss my ass.
No, you.
Oh, they're coming at you?
Those are bots. Those are bots.
Yeah, they're coming after me, dude.
Yeah, bro. You know how I feel about the Marvel films.
And I know that I'm not going to be in a Marvel movie anyways. Look at this face.
See what he's doing? He's negging Marvel to get in a movie so hard right now. I know what he's doing.
I dare you to come at me, Marvel. Oh, I dare you. What, you're fat shaming now, Marvel?
Adam, have you not heard of the character, the Blob?
He's the Blob.
You can be the Blob, or you
Yeah.
can be
You're the
Puck.
Blob, dude. What are you
Yeah,
doing,
dude,
Loki?
I've got some roles.
Clayface.
I dare you, Marvel. Come at me.
Yeah, how are you?
Adam
Loki?
Devine is Clayface.
Ooh, that would be really sick.
Um, He's gonna be Elton John before he's gonna be anything else.
But right, I mean, I'm not off base by saying that.
No.
No, you're right. You're right because that's why would you go to a theater to watch anything but that big movie? Why would you go to a theater to
The
watch?
J.O.
That's true. To check on. In peace.
Someone was saying, well, in 2003 or whatever year it was like the second, like one of the biggest movies was the Spider-Man movie that came out that year.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then the biggest movie was Shrek, and then it was like a list of all these comedies that were the biggest movies of that year. And I'm like, yeah, but
that
there
rocked in
was
2003.
But there was, I mean, I think that was the year. It was somewhere.
Donkey!
But, and then it was
Just trying to go back there.
but I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm saying. I lost my train of thought. It's so early.
I'm pissed now.
Really good stuff.
Adam, it's your. I know what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying. I can pile on. Like I think you're saying like the share was at least there. There were comedies in the theater that were making money and that could basically.
Well, that was my point. I was like, there was one,
commerce there.
One
There was a
big
business
superhero
there.
movie, and so of course everyone went and saw it. But then there was also like, they came out with like 40 comedy movies, and 5 or 6 of them were really good, and the rest were less good.
I don't give a fuck.
But they still came out.
But they probably still made their money back, and they were probably still sustainable. Right now, they're saying that